Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your bashful book reviewer and host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. It is Wednesday. That does mean that it is going to be a book review day, and wanted to get away from dinosaurs a little bit and comic books, so we're going to go into science fiction. This book, The Best of Science Fiction TV, the Critic's Choice, from Captain Video to Star Trek, from the Jetsons to Robotech. It's an odd choice there on the front. It was by John, I'm assuming John Javna. Giant Robot kind of cut his J off, but it's a breezy book. It runs a whopping 144 pages. It has fan clubs in the back, addresses for them, recommended reading, collectibles and photos, and classic lines. It goes through the best and the worst, and those are really open to interpretation. A lot of these critics are not even close to being science fiction fans. I guess they're television fans, but go figure. It ran a whopping $8.95 in 1987. It reprints some interviews here and there, Ultraman Phenomenon. It's got copyrights all over it, but 1987 when it was when it was written. And before we get too much further into it, after this, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Love to read the comments. What do you think about this book from 1987? It's a little harsh on a lot of the shows, but some of it's pretty accurate. And it's still fun. It's not the worst thing in the world to read. A lot of us had it back then, and we'll go through some of the fun stuff here. So, having said all that, let's roll. This is my copy. There's the back and the front. We're going to have a discussion about if Mork and Mindy or the Jetsons or some others should even be in here at all. It's all in black and white, so I did spice it up, added some color in here as well. And, well, that's really about all I have to add here. Okay, let's go. Okay, there is the actual cover to my book. The other one, I got it from the internets because it was a little sharper, a little brighter. But my book's still in good condition. I would say very good. Not near mint, but I've read it a lot. All right, we'll get right into this here. Hopefully I got all of the pages done properly. There's the introduction. Tried to add a little color to this. That did not work. Acknowledgements. I don't actually know many. Fred Patton, I know who he is. I never met him, but lots of these are just nice things, I think. And here's our contents. The introduction, there's your top 15. And I see at least 1, 2, 3, 4 that should not be in there. The worst, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 that should not be in there. And then, of course, they've got the Japanese one, the cult favorites. I would say Robotech has lasted a lot. It's not a cult at all. British science fiction, that's not cult. These, especially any of these. Well, maybe Sapphire and Steel and the Invisible Man, but UFO, Blake 7, the Avengers, no. Thunderbirds, no. Why wouldn't I? Well, yeah, some of these I've never seen, but then we've got cartoons. We'll discuss those. We'll discuss all these and how annoyed I am at some of them. I put this in here. That's Prince Dinosaur, or Monster Prince, or Prince Monster, Dinosaur Prince, whatever you want to, Kaiju Oji from Japan, which is mentioned right here as diehard fans, Space G-Men or Prince Dinosaur. Now, as far as I know, this was never syndicated in the U.S. I have seen at least half an episode dubbed into Spanish, which leads me to believe somewhere somebody had it. Oops, I left a dot there, which I didn't mean to. There's Starlog. So once again, there's the top 25. So you've got Battlestar Galactica in here, Lost in Space in here, Geez, a 80s Twilight Zone version. My favorite Martian, which I once again would not say was any anything close to being science fiction, except for the fact that it had a Martian in it. That barely had anything to. That was the gimmick. So, oh, there's a time tunnel just because I like it. So there's the more introduction. There's our top 20 of the worst, which somebody obviously Far Out Space Nuts, The Lost Saucer. They were for kids. I mean, but and I think I've seen a couple episodes of It's About Time. Again, it's a comedy. Some of these I wouldn't put in Space 1999 or Buck Rogers or Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And I'd say Judgment and Project UFO. That wasn't even that's not science fiction. That's a documentary of sorts. So there's our critics, members of the science fiction. So I take it back. There are science people who know science fiction. I'd give them a little more credit. But if they're they're writers. Well, I don't want to disparage writers at all because they created wonderful things. But sometimes I think people get pigeonholed and have narrow vision. And probably none of these people are ever going to hear me say this, so it's all right. And there, you can guess what obviously the number one show is The Voyages of the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek. Now, this was written or published probably right before, it was probably written before they knew that Next Generation was going to show up. So keep that in mind. 1987 was 38 years ago now, and VCRs were a thing and tape trading had begun, but you didn't have a Sci-Fi Channel, you didn't have MeTV that would show these things constantly, especially no Sci-Fi Channel. You were lucky if you got the scourge of television. Infomercials had taken away much space from syndicated shows, so it was rare to get anything older than from the 70s, and even then. So Star Trek is number one. Twilight Zone is number two, I think. Outer Limits is number three, and I really should have pulled up the Simpsons homage to the Outer Limits because it's hilarious, but I forgot. I love the Outer Limits, so that's why it's in here, and it spawned a comic book, which I probably should have edited down a little bit, but that's all right. Doctor Who's number 5, and of course, what it says there is in its 24th year with, I want to say, the 7th Doctor was still there. This was not Sarah Jane still alive, with the K9, but yeah, Doctor 7. He's too new to know. So keep that in mind. And it didn't last much longer until the 8th Doctor showed up in his unfortunate US adaptation. And now they're up to 13, 14, 15 maybe? I lost count. Amazing Stories, not even close to being the top 15. It lasted two seasons, looks like 44, but it had cachet because of Steven Spielberg. I watched maybe 3 episodes and was done because it was nothing. It tried too hard to be impressive and failed. And number 15, The Adventures of Superman. That ran, what did that run? 5 seasons, 104? Well, 4 really, but I wish this would come out on Blu-ray because it needs to be on Blu-ray. I have because the sets on DVD used to be able to buy for $10 a pop, and now you can't buy them at all. I do have the first season, which is really the best one, and it does come with the movie, the Superman versus the Mole Man. But look at that color. Can you imagine what that looked like properly restored? Come on, guys, it's Superman. He's going to be 90 years old in 3 years. 3 years, less than 3 years, really. So the worst, Space 1999. My brother and I loved watching the show. Now, that first season can be a little difficult because they were trying to say something important. And the second season is The Adventures, where you had it, what's her name there? But Maya, and she could turn into aliens, which was always cool to see her do that. Catherine Shell. So it's very British. The effects are outstanding. I mean, that was the sell. but it was cool. I mean, it spawned toys. 2 years is a good run for a syndicated show. We didn't know it was done by, at that time, that it was done by Jerry Anderson of the Thunderbirds Super Mario Nation, or even UFO. Yeah, Galactica 1980, that deserves it. Did Galactica? I don't know. Look at that ship. It's fun. It's not great, but it's fun. I did like Man from Atlantis, though I can see why it petered out quickly. And there's the cetacean. At least the effects, the underwater effects were cool, except for him swimming. Then he showed up on Dallas. Go figure. The Star Lost is pretty darn awful. Even Cordwainer Bird didn't like it. And it was hard. It looks like Walter Koenig was on 2 episodes. I've watched like 3, and oh man, it's it was rough. I remember seeing it in syndication and thinking, "What is this?" And we just don't know. Obviously, Harlan Ellison was part of it, but boy, did he not like it. And Doctor Who, I just put the Daleks in there once again for color. There's our aliens. I mean, geez, how many Doctor Who has more aliens than almost any other TV show in the world since it's been on the longest? Klingons, Balok, the dummy, Zanti Misfit. And now we're getting into the good part here. What I really bought it for was this. Unfortunately, there's a huge error, and I get that Hayata could sound like IATA, but that's iota, as in you don't have an iota of what you're writing about. And it was by 87. I mean, it wasn't readily available, but why wouldn't you ask someone? I mean, you could have found August Ragoni easily. Got a Johnny Sacco picture here, and of course, Jiras or Kira, depending on which vert dub you watch. There's Godzilla moonlighting. But at least it had a little bit of what it was going on. They liken it to professional wrestling, and it's a little deeper than that for the most part. Then we get some cartoons. Astro Boy I never saw growing up, but I did see Gigantor. He's a space age robot. And I love Gigantor. I like Astro Boy quite a bit more these days. But there's a drawing of a team. Same man created both Giant Robot and Gigantor, and I would pay cash money to see that. That's for sure. And so, look at that. That would be a great team up. Somebody do that. Then we got Eighth Man, which I've never seen. This is probably the first time I'd ever heard of Eighth Man. I had no idea what it was, but I really enjoy Eighth Man, and thank you, Shonokin, for doing all that hard work. And Robotech, which I may have seen 3 episodes of. The Lord of the Rings. No, it's not. Sorry, Fred. They talk about all 3 parts. Once again, there's just a lovely picture of Eighth Man. Then we go to UFO, which is, when they say Ed Straker's abrasive, they ain't kidding. But the show is pretty good. I mean, it's in Space 1999 is pretty much a sequel to it, even though they never said it out loud. Also, Space 1999 is shown, or the Alpha Base has shown up in the Thunderbirds Are Go television series of recent vintage, with the CGI people and the live action ships and such, or partially, which I really enjoy. I like those Thunderbirds, but I really like the Thunderbirds. I don't remember what these things are called. Now we get into more the Thunderbirds themselves, the puppets, because there was no CGI yet. Or there was, but it wasn't like it is now. And now we get into cartoons, and of course this is number 1, which it should be, though I think you possibly could have put that the Superman serials or Superman cartoons from the Fleischer brothers should be in here. I disagree with Rocky and Bullwinkle being in here for the same reason I disagree. Well, the worst is just a matter of your taste. Gilligan's Planet was kind of goofy, but Rocky and Bullwinkle was not a science fiction show. It was a cartoon. And where is the best Saturday morning cartoon? Because, of course, remember that Johnny Quest was a primetime cartoon, but Where, oh, where is the land of the lost? It was 5 years old by 4 years old, 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old by this time. And that first season is gold, as we've mentioned. Then we get the odds and ends, and there's a picture I put in here about, I remember Men into Space, but that would be Commando Cody because that's foretelling of what is coming up for next week's book review. And that'll have lots of pictures because I love me some Commando Cody serials. Oh, and look, now I forgot, I was annoyed about this. Godzilla Power Hour, again, is more of an adventure show. There's obviously science fiction aspects to it, but and Josie and the Pussycats, I gotta give this John Javna a black eye for that one. I'm kidding. But they put in the Jetsons as the number, like number 14 science fiction show. That's again a comedy in a science fiction setting. It's had nothing to do with. It's less science fiction than Johnny Quest, which is just, you know, incidental science fiction for the most part. Anyway, yeah, just bad mouth Godzilla some more for me. Classic lines. I'm doing the best I can. You know, Mrs. Peel, we're needed, which was in the that's Don't Panic. Yes, it written in large, friendly Earth letters. So these are all good. Never. I mean, even though they badmouth Lost in Space, Smith is memorable. Be seeing you. Yes, your humble agent did steal that, but we've changed it. Anyway, so just it's fun. Imperious leader. Yeah, I thought that was funny. And there's the back of the book. So that's the only color parts we have. All right, my fellow agents, this has been a fun little review. I have a little special trailer on at the end. Well, it's a promo, really. But until our next assignment, and I'm just using this over this one again because it's great. It's got a dinosaur in it. But until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
Deep in an underground labyrinth is a fantastic invention which cost billions of dollars, the time tunnel. But what does it cost a man to face the incredible dangers of the past or the unknown secrets of the future?
Titanic. That is impossible. The ship is unsinkable.
This ship is dead, and so is everyone on board unless you give immediate orders to lower the lifeboats. Freeze them! Accelerate power!
Wherever he and Doug are now, at least they're together.
But where?
We couldn't begin to guess. The time tunnel.